welcome back to my channel. I am Gemma, otherwise known as Velvety Cleopatra, and I'm bringing you another sewing project today. So today I'm going to be making another, I say another because I've already made two of these, another Cashmerette Club Rockwell dress. So I love this dress. It's based on a vintage design, and there are a lot of vintage sewing sort of finishing techniques involved in the pattern. I'm going to be using this glorious fabric from Minerva, which is called, I think it's called Byzantine Streets or Byzantium Streets. I'll put a link in the bio anyway. This was gifted by Minerva in exchange for a post, but look at it. It's just so, it just makes me think of wandering around the streets of Rome in the height of summer, and that's what I would love to be doing right now. Instead I'm in Wales, and although it is sunny today, it's still kind of cold, so yeah. But anyway, I'm going to be making another one of these. It's a very quick pattern. There's only really 5 pattern pieces. So you've got what I'm showing you is the pockets, because it has pockets. You've got then the front, which is cut in 2 halves, and the back, which is cut in 2 halves, and they're just big sort of rectangles with like a curve at the top. And then you've got some binding that goes around the neckline, and then you make waist ties as well out of binding, and I'm going to be using black to contrast with this. So I've made one in like a teal and pink leopard print with black neckline, binding and waist ties, and then I made another one in like a tropical rainforest print with navy blue waist ties and binding. This is a viscose challis from Minerva, and it's from their exclusive range, so I would recommend checking them out. They have some amazing prints and it's really lovely quality. It has beautiful drape. I mean, you can see for a summer dress it's glorious, so glorious. But yeah, check that out. They have so many different prints now, it's amazing. But yeah, so this will be my third one. So I'm gonna take you on a little sewing journey with me as I make this pattern, and then I'll tell you what I think about it at the end. So buckle up, and I hope you enjoy this video. Just look at this fabric, it's so fun. I just love it. I feel like it's the kind of print that you could look at it for ages and you'd just keep missing little details. I just think the colour is perfect and the detail is amazing. I just love it. The little pops of sort of terracotta as well. Gorgeous! Welcome to my ironing board. Anyway, I wanted to show you the finishing in this, the Rockwell dress. So basically I've overlocked the edges of my fabric because it is prone to fraying. And then you fold it in by 1/4 of an inch and stitch at 1/8 of an inch. And then when you sew the two, this is the center front, so when you sew them together, you've just got this lovely finish now that kind of looks like you've bound the edges with, you know, a nice binding, but you haven't. It's just the way the garment's finished. I just think it's really pretty. So you get a little sneak of the fabric inside. This is my gathering stitches for the waist for later, and then this is open at the neck, and there's a necktie that ties at the top. I like how you can adjust the neckties on this. You can wear them different ways. You can cross it over so this is quite closed, or if you want to have it sort of open a bit so it goes more over the shoulders, you can do it like that. It's quite versatile, this dress, but I'll show you that when it's finished. But yeah, I just thought this is super cute that you get to see a little sneak of the fabric inside, and it's just the simple things, isn't it? Okay, so we're just gathering the neckline so that we can attach it to the neck band facing binding, neck band, the neck binding. So this is all gathered. We're gathered here today. Sorry. Look, if we're going to be friends here on this channel, you need to know that I say silly things while I'm sewing. So, you know, when I say this is all gathered, we're gathered here today, that's one thing. If the instructions tell me to baste in place, I always say, baste in the place, London. I know. And the other thing is when it says matching notches, I can't help but say Buenos Noches. I don't know why I do it. I do it all the time. I do it all the time, and I'm apologising in advance. I'm apologising now. If you're going to stick with me, you're going to hear a lot of this. End of day 1, and this is how far we are. So it's looking like a dress, but not really like a dress. There's a lot that needs doing still. So I've attached the neckline binding, and I've started pinning it down, ready to hand stitch it tomorrow. This end will get sort of turned in and stitched to make the ties that tie up around the neck, and then I need to do the gathering on the waist and attach the waist ties, make and attach the waist ties. It's open at the sides still, so that needs to be finished, but I'm hanging it overnight so that I can hem it tomorrow when it's done. So yeah, it's coming together. I just love this fabric so much, and it doesn't look like I've got any awkwardly placed turrets on the chest area, so that's good. I was concerned maybe I may have a faux pas there, but no, she looks good. Veronica helping out once more. We will finish this tomorrow. So I'm currently slip stitching the neckband, the neckline facing to the inside. I use the term slip stitching loosely because I'm not entirely sure that I do it correctly, but the way I do it, it works, so, you know. I hate it when the thread gets all like tangled. It's so annoying. I quite like hand sewing. I find it sort of quite calming, and normally I leave bits like this till the end. And I was going to leave it till the end and do it tonight in front of the TV. But I thought, do you know what? No, I'm going to get it out of the way now, because I was actually going to do this part last night instead of this morning, because I knew it would like hold me back from getting this finished. So I should have done it last night really, but I was tired, so I didn't do it. So I'm doing it now. I'm just getting it done. It takes so little time. It's such a little area of hand stitching, and I'm just like, just get it done, and then I can move on to more exciting things like putting the pockets in and stuff like that. If only this would stop happening. Why does this stuff happen to me all the time? I don't understand how I'm pulling the threads at the same time. Why does one come through quicker than the other? So frustrating. I'm very tangled now. Oh man. Why? These are right, I always say that I find sewing really therapeutic and relaxing, but these moments, no. Especially when I'm pricking myself with a pin repeatedly. It's so frustrating. But yeah, anyway, yeah, so what was I saying? I will get this bit done, then I can get on to making the waistband ties, which also involves quite a laborious process of turning meters of very thin fabric tube the right way. I always use a knitting needle. I find that the best way to do it. I actually have a box of knitting needles that were my nana's. So they're quite special to me. Let me show you. They're just under here. So this box, I guess you'd call this vintage now. So you slide the lid open, and then the needles are inside, and they're like the metal knitting needles. They're so cool. But I use them to turn tubes. I do also knit very slowly, but I use these ones to turn, get back, to turn tubes the right way, because they're easier. They're quite long as well, and this tube is very long. It will take ages to turn. I actually forgot I had knitting needles the first time I made a Rockwell dress, and I was trying to turn the tube the right way round using a pen, and of course it was too short. It took forever, and then I suddenly remembered I had skinny knitting needles, and I was like, oh, yes. The only thing you have to be careful is that you just don't push them too hard so they pop through the end of the tube. But they are honestly a godsend for turning tubes. Anyway, I've already hand stitched this much. I've got this much more to go, so I'm about halfway, and then I've sewn the neckties. The finishing on this dress is nice. I mean, how nice is that with a nice black, like, contrast? You can do the neckties and the waist ties with the same fabric, but I quite like the contrast, so we're going with the contrast. So I've done the necktie. This is centre back seam, so it's all slip stitched neatly around the edge, and then the ties tie up here at the centre front. So now I think we go on to adding the pockets to the side seams, and then closing the side seams, and the side seams stay open up to this point where I've put tailor's tack, because that's what makes the armhole. It's very, very simple pattern, this. I love it. It's very easy. Very, very easy. I was wrong. I actually have to make the waist ties next. So I need to sew 7 pieces of long black fabric cut on the bias, and join them all together, and then turn them into a tube, and then turn that tube right side out, which is a lengthy job because it's a lengthy tube. Are you serious? So now I have 6.5 meters of tube. One end is open. I'm just going to trim the point off. And now I need to turn it the right way. So the way I do this is I use my trusty knitting needle, and I poke it between the seam allowance at the end to get it to sort of push in on itself, if that makes sense. I'm sure all of you will have tube turners and things, but I don't have those. I feel like I don't need to buy a tube turner because I have a knitting needle, she says, dropping it. It can be a bit fiddly, but once you get it started, it's like, it's okay. You just need to push the end in on itself. And of course, while I'm trying to do it, it doesn't want to do it. Oh my god, and I keep dropping the needle. I will do this. Talk amongst yourselves. Oh my god, why? Why is it when you try to demonstrate it for someone else, you can't do it? Aha, here we go. I think we're getting there. That's it. Yes. So you want it to like turn in on itself so you can start. Honestly. Well, hey, there we go. So then we start the process of pulling it through. And remember what I said, 6.5 meters of tube. And what I've done is picked a knitting needle. Right, you want a knitting needle where the end is small enough to go in the tube. So I'm going to swap this one because it won't go through. It's not long enough to go all the way. Okay, I'm going to use this one with the flat kind of end, but it's actually longer. So I'm going to take this one out and put this one in instead. And remember, don't push too hard because you'll poke a hole through. But you just want it so that the needle is essentially inside the tube, and then you just keep, so it's about to go in, you just keep working it through basically and pulling it over the end. It can be a bit tricky to get it started off, but once you've got it, you're there then, and you can start. You just have to get the ends inside. That's what she said. Sorry, I make a lot of that's what she said jokes. Well, this is like probably like watching paint dry for you, isn't it? Aha! Yes, there we go. So we have the whole thing turned right side out. You see how thin this is? But now the knitting needle's still in here, so we need to get that out. So just basically just work its way out.
One eternity later.
Voila! And here is the waist tie. So I'm just gathering the centre front, the front now at the waist. So I put my gathering stitches in before when it was completely flat. I find it easier to do that. So I did it as soon as I'd finished cutting out my pattern pieces. When I was putting my markings on, I put the gathering stitches in at the same time. It's just easier that way. And now I'm pulling them together, and there's a gather guide here, so I've pinned it to center front, and then I know the gathers need to go, I'm making the size 4, so the gathers need to go to here, and I've tied it off and evenly distributed the gathers. And now I'm just going to do the other side as well, and then we will be fixing the gathering in place by sewing the waist tie on top. So you find the center of the waist tie, and then that stitches on top of the gathering, and then you put a bit of seam binding on the back, so bias binding. I've got some bias binding upstairs. I'll just use pre-made bias binding, it's just easier. And yeah, so this stitches on top, so you can see you won't see the gathering stitches, and that's how your waist tie secures to the dress. Here we go. So I'm using my green bias binding to go on the back of the gathering stitches, and I've put lots of pins in and equally distributed my gathers, and now I'm just going to sew this on. It just reinforces the gathering because obviously it's under the bust and the waist. If you were to move about a lot, the gathering stitches might break, which they're going to be held on by the belt as well, but this is just an extra way of reinforcing and also covering them up so that they don't come loose on the inside, which I think is really nice. I don't care that it's green, because I either had green or navy blue, and I thought, you know what, just make a feature of it. Just go with the green. I could have made black using the same fabric I used for my waist ties and neckband, but I can't be bothered to make bias binding. I just want to use the green. I've also grabbed from upstairs this one of my little labels. I like to put these in the clothes I make, just because they remind me that I made this. And one day maybe it'll be in a shop, a charity shop, and someone will pick it up and think, Velvety Cleopatra? I used to watch her videos on YouTube. She said some ridiculous things sometimes, like her dress form has no legs, which could be an issue. You know, stuff like that. She's done. Look at this print. It's so nice. Honestly, it's so nice. And I like the black as an accent as well. It's very Grecian, this dress. I love it. I actually love it. You can also do different things with the necktie. So if you want, you can cross it over, sort of tie it up behind your neck instead. Or you can just tuck them in. So you don't have to have them at all if you don't want them. Just tuck these in. Yeah, which I like because it shows off my tattoo. But it's got pockets as well. It's very floaty. At the back, I've tied it at the back. Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love this dress. It's perfect for summer. It is so easy to sew. Honestly, it's just, you've got like 2 parts for the front, 2 parts for the back, the pocket bags, and then you make the waist ties and the necktie. It's so easy. You could sew this in a day. I did it over 2 days just because I'm trying to be more mindful about my sewing. I have a tendency to try and get everything done like immediately. Sewing can be slow, and you know, you can think about it. You don't need to rush it. But look at this gorgeous fabric from Minerva. That print, I know it's not for everyone, but I just want to be drinking cocktails in Rome wearing this. Chef's kiss. I love it. Anyway, I've made 3 of these dresses. Let me show you the others. So this one is another fabric from Minerva. I'll put the details in the description box. But this time I used a blue, a navy to accent. So this is the way it works. So the waist ties are stitched onto the front where the gathering is, and you can just wrap them around you as many times as you like. You could tie it at the front or the back. I prefer to tie mine at the back. This is very hard to do on camera. I'm not going to tie it fully, but this is the, yeah, so again, they have pockets. I love that they have pockets. But this fabric, look at it, beautiful. These fabrics were all gifted by Minerva because I'm a brand ambassador. And then the last one I will show you now. So this one was the first one I made, and I don't know why, but this one is my favourite. It's teal and pink leopard print. Why wouldn't it be my favourite? I love it. And I remember making this for the first time and putting it on and just being like, oh my God, this dress is perfection. Seriously. Perfection. I love it so much. That's why I've made 3 of them. But look, it's just so... Oh. And you can tie it so that the waist tie goes through underneath the arms. So pull it around the front and then tie it, go through the the underarm and tie it underneath so the back is kind of like a waterfall dress at the back. That's not my vibe, but this, I do love anything that just cinches me in. So, you know, I'm all about the cinched life. But I just love how there's like the little peephole here. Pockets, have I mentioned they have pockets? This is a very beginner friendly pattern, I would say, as well. I would say try it. You have to be a member of the Cashmerette Club to get this, but there are loads of great patterns there, so if you do want to join, it's definitely worth the money. Cashmerette actually gifted me this pattern to sew it up when the pattern was released, so just a disclaimer, I didn't pay for the pattern or the fabrics, but I would 100% recommend them. I would never recommend anything that I would not use or buy myself. The Minerva Viscose range is just, I'm sure a lot of you know already. The prints are just, Anyway, thank you for watching again. Please do like my video, comment if you like, and subscribe. And I hope to see you again on another sewing adventure. Thank you.